this is it's mental podcast. Today we have our special guest Caroline, and she is one of the OGs in Berlin English comedy scene. So we are really happy to have her. Hey Caroline, do you want to introduce yourself a bit?
Hello, I'm here. That's right. Yes, I've been around Berlin for quite a while, since 2011, I would say. Yeah.
Wow, 10 years.
10 years. Yeah. It's crazy how fast the time goes here.
Yeah. Besides comedy, what do you do?
I also do improv comedy, and I teach as well. I teach improv and stand-up comedy as well, mainly.
Cool.
And I used to be a computer programmer, but luckily I was able to go like full artist a couple of years ago, so it's been pretty cool.
Cool. Where are you from?
I'm from England. I'm from a little village called Bushy Heath, which is just outside of London, just outside of northwest London in England. Yeah, so yeah, it's pretty close by, really, relatively.
So 10 years ago, what brought you to Berlin?
I think I really needed a change in my life. Like, it's very overwhelming living in a complex city like London, and I just was working too much, drinking too much, smoking too much weed. And a very good friend of mine had moved here a couple of years before, and he said, "Oh, I think like Berlin is just the change that you need. Probably, I think I was getting really depressed," and he was absolutely right. Like, absolutely right. Like, as soon as I got here, I was just like, this is the place for me. Like, it's just like life slowed down, you know, and it's exactly what I needed. I just needed the like lack of pressure, not so many people around, not so expensive. It was really good. And I had like money in the bank as well, so I was able to just decompress. I don't think I worked for like the first like 4 or 5 months.
Oh, 4 or 5 months. I was thinking 4 or 5 years.
Yeah,
that's
I
rich.
wish. Yeah. Sign me up for that.
Yeah. So what did you do at the beginning?
Yeah, I just sort of coasted around. I took a German class, of course, like a good deluded expat. I was playing. I decided, because I was doing comedy in London, but I sort of quit. I'd like basically had a bit of a breakdown, I just quit doing comedy in London. And I was like, I'm never going to do stand up again. So when I came here, I decided to sort of reinvent myself as a singer songwriter, because I'd always been in bands as well. So I thought that's going to be my Berlin identity, and I just like slung my acoustic guitar, wrote some new songs, and I just went around all of the like music open mics and stuff. And I was also trying to get into the startup scene, because I am a computer programmer by trade, and I was just looking for what my next move was. I went to like a lot of like meetups, meetup.com. I didn't know anybody. I mean, I was completely different. I was the same person, but I was completely in a completely different space. So, like, I just didn't know anybody other than this one friend I had here, who soon got sick of me. I'm kidding, I love you, James. And yeah, just trying to connect with people, just trying to find my tribe, really.
So startup didn't recruit you. How did you start your stand up again?
Yeah, well, it was through music. It was through music, because I kind of like, you know, I've always been witty, should we say. So like a lot of the songs that I wrote were kind of like funny. And then I wrote a couple that were sort of really funny. And some people from the open mic said, oh, you should come to not Sunday Slips, but I can't believe, oh, you'll have to edit this, because this is so shameful that I've forgotten what Sunday Slips was called before it was Sunday Slips. It was the show that everybody went to, and it was hosted by Tim Whelan. And God, that's dreadful that I can't remember the name of that show. Anyway, it'll come back to me. That's stupid. It was like it was for singer-songwriters, just like Sunday Slips. It was for singer-songwriters and for comedians and for whatever you want to do, really. And I just like really liked the people there. I met like Neil and Molly and just like all of these OG people. I very quickly got onto the stand-up scene, which was almost nothing at the time. Like in 2011-12, you could barely do any stand-up around, really. There was like a couple of monthly shows. There was the Sunday show, and if you wanted to do any more, you had to do a German show.
Wow.
So yeah, it was like really fledgling. But yeah, I just really liked the people, and it wasn't long after just doing music, being a musical act, that I started doing stand-up again. I couldn't help myself.
It's my first time to know that you are also a musician.
Huh.
You are so multi-talented.
Oh, yeah. Jack of all trades.
Are you still doing music?
Not really, actually. Not really. No. It's weird because it was such a big part of my life for so long, for really a long time, like from a teenager right up until my 30s. But yeah, I don't even sit down and strum on my guitar anymore. It's weird.
Wow. Now with Berlin getting under the spotlight, I think music comedy is getting hip again. Maybe it's time to jump in.
Yeah, could be. I mean, I think the trouble with musical comedy is it's really difficult to write a good song. It really is. Like, whereas stand-up material, you know, it comes and goes, I think. So what happened to me, and I think what happens to a lot of musical acts, is like people get sick of your 5 good songs, you know. And unless you're willing to be very, very prolific, you're going to get sick of it pretty quickly. Because it's like, imagine doing the same stand-up bit. Like, you just had 5 bits, and you were just doing them for like years. I mean, you'd be like absolutely sick of it. And then within those bits, you repeat the bits within them because there's a chorus. Like, it's very repetitive musical comedy.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
It sounds like torture.
It can be. It can be a modern form of torture, musical comedy. Yeah. But like someone as talented as Bo Burnham, that's like a whole other level, of course.
Yeah, this is insane. Insane. So, when did you start to do comedy?
2006. Yeah, 2006. Wow.
So you did in UK for 5 years?
No, I didn't because I sort of like I don't know, because I just like because I quit. I did about 3 years, I would say, in the UK. But yeah, I just like I've always suffered from low self-esteem, and I really just got into a downward spiral with like self-esteem and having ridiculously high expectations of myself, even though I was a complete beginner, and I made it so difficult for myself in retrospect. But like, because London is so intense, I think I learned an incredible amount in London, which was very useful for me when I kind of restarted after maybe like a 4-year break when I restarted in Berlin.
Well, you said you had a burnout in 2011. It was your first encounter with a mental illness, or it happened before already?
I'd often been in therapy, you know, just for like general depression and stuff like that, but nothing out of the ordinary, really.
What do you mean, define ordinary?
I don't know, just angst and whatever, just having a sort of, you know, parents that didn't understand you, just like, nothing out of the ordinary. Like, I was never medicated or anything like that. I did try it a couple of times, but it wasn't for me. So yeah, it wasn't actually until about, I don't know if you want to go straight to the mental health bit, but I'm like brimming. But it wasn't until about, so that was all like even the burnout wasn't super serious. But yes, about 5 years ago. So where are we? So like around 2015 or so, I started having really strong panic attacks, and that was pretty debilitating. Like that was anxiety. If I wasn't having a panic attack, I was just having an anxiety attack, and that was pretty serious.
Did you start to have panic attack only from that time, or you had it before also?
I don't think I'd ever had. I think I'd like maybe had one now and again, but it was usually drug induced. It was usually because I was like a pretty heavy party person in the UK, so it was usually by overdoing it, like not sleeping, all that stuff. So, but this was for no reason that I could see.
And with a panic attack, how did you experience what it is? Like, could you please describe for me?
Yeah, absolutely. And it still like happens from time to time. But I remember very distinctly when it first started happening, it was like my stomach, you could physically see it moving, like churning, like a wave. Wow. And that was really weird. And I had just had this kind of strong feeling in my head, like I was like gonna go insane somehow, that somehow the world was gonna stop. Like I can't really, it's very difficult to define, but I just could not get out of that feeling at all, because I realized if the world was to stop, I could make it stop for me, you know, like in that sense. And I just couldn't get out of that like cycle of feeling like that, no matter what I did. And I tried all sorts of things, but it wasn't until I started having a very intense physical therapy called Grinberg method, which I heard like probably isn't cool anymore, and now it's become something else. You know, these guys always end up like Me Tooing somebody. So like apparently the leader of this type of therapy is like not a good guy, but now the people who learn that do something else. But anyway, I started having this very physical therapy, which is also kind of like a psychotherapy, but I don't know, for some reason it worked. And I'm not really into woo-woo stuff. I'm not like into crystals or shit like that. Like this isn't like a weird, like, so
you are not a basic white woman.
I am, but not in that way.
Okay.
So I don't I don't believe in weird stuff like that. But this is basically like a extremely hard massage.
Okay.
So and between that and
how it goes, like you lie there and people massage you?
Yeah, exactly. She can tell exactly where you're holding your shit, basically. Because like every bad thought you have, you store it physically in your body, is the thought of this thing. So it's like a catch-22. So if you massage out where it's all caught, then it's going to release the bad thoughts as well. And for me, it really worked. But at the same time, I was also having psychotherapy. And like, I don't think he was actually a specifically good psychotherapist, but just to have anyone sit with you who is like a licensed professional and say the things you think are going to happen are absolutely not going to happen. There's just no way they're going to happen. And if they do, you'll be the first. And I'm like, I'll be the first. Oh my God. So not only am I going to like die or go mad, but like they'll name it after me.
That's funny. So when you start have the panic attack around 2016, did you think there was any trigger? Anything might have led to it? Or it's just really out of nowhere?
Yeah, I mean, I just, whatever, I think potentially I think I was just pushing a lot of things down my entire life. Also completely self-medicating. So what this psychotherapist made me do was quit drinking for at least 1 year. And that really helped. Like, I mean, it's so annoying that helped. Like, it's just like, you don't want to hear that. But yeah, because like every time I would feel this anxiety come on, I tell you what would really help would be like a glass of wine. I pretty much would go away immediately. Like, talk about an immediate cure, but then you're just delaying it, because then when I'm hungover, I'm going to have double anxiety. I'm going to have, so it's just like a constant cycle that I wasn't dealing with, and all the stuff you read about of just like not dealing with your stuff when it comes up. So yeah, it was absolutely that, and just a lifetime of substance, just dealing with your problems with substances and all stuff like that.
And with the anxiety attack that time, do you remember where was it, and in what situation is? Because you talk about you can see your belly moving.
Yeah.
I wonder, like, are you in the middle of the road and looking at your belly?
Yeah, I mean, it could happen absolutely anywhere, I would say. But I would always feel a lot better when I got home. So often, like, say if I'd be at the comedy cafe and I would like start to feel like that. And if it got really bad, I would get home, and I'd always feel better when I was at home. Or I would go if I couldn't get home, I would go into a toilet stall and I would just like look at my phone, like just look at it. And look at it and just try and breathe. Because the woman who did the Grimberg with me, she gave me a lot of like just techniques, and she didn't mean to, but she taught me something stupid, which is that pain focuses you. So actually I got a little bit into self-harm. I know, and like I wasn't trying to cut myself and like look at my pain or anything like that, but I would like often carry like sharp-ish objects around with me. I wasn't trying to draw blood. I wasn't like being like a goth, but I found that if I would prick it into my ankle, like somewhere soft like my ankle or my leg, it would like kind of course it just focuses you away from what's in your head. If you feel like the point in your ankles.
Audience, please don't
they absolutely don't,
this.
Of course not.
Please don't. This is not good.
Yeah.
Did you quit that yet?
Oh yeah, totally. But having said that, You know, like I sometimes just brush myself with my keys if I'm feeling like medium anxiety.
Oh,
like,
that's good. That's you brush yourself with key or take a toothbrush with you, brush your skin.
Yeah,
a little
anything,
bit.
an ice cube, like just something that focuses you on your body and not your brain. But yeah, like don't, because like one time when I wasn't dealing with it and I hadn't started the therapy, I actually did end up in hospital, and yeah, my ankles were all scratched. You know, they were all like scratched and bloody, and which in a way was a good thing, because I don't think he would have given me any diazepam. And I was like, can you please give me some diazepam, because I like it really, obviously that sort of helps. But in this country, they don't give it to you. But in England, they gave me like a low dose of it, which I didn't get addicted to, but it's really a nice drug.
Dear audience, please
yeah,
don't
please
harm
also
yourself.
please don't do that, and don't like, obviously, if you can keep away from diazepam. But the best thing, of course, like anything, is therapy.
And with the anxiety, did it get better?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a lot better than I used to be. But yeah, there's still a part of me that thinks it could just, because it seemed to come out of nowhere, that it could come back out of nowhere, you know. But like, I've just basically, I can't smoke weed anymore. I can't do any like class A drugs anymore, because they're all triggers. And like, I mean, I'm 41. Like, I don't exactly want to be like smashing it down Berkheim anyway.
So what do you think happened the most in the past years?
Well, I've definitely learnt to slow down my life a lot, and I just keep away from stressful situations. And that is a complete privilege, I recognise, because some people, they have to work in jobs that they hate. And I was working in a job that I hated. And I hated myself in that job. So that was like adding to it. But I'm in a really privileged position where I don't have to like work so much at the moment, because my like outgoing expenses are super cheap. So, but yeah, for me, I just need to keep my life at a slow pace, and that works for me. And I've found something I really enjoy, which is bouldering. And it completely keeps my mind clear while I'm doing it, and stuff like that. So yeah, but yeah, it's such a bummer to hear, but it's just like cutting down on the drugs and drink, fucking exercise. I mean, who am I? Who have I become?
Doing some physical exercise is always good.
Yeah, but of course, you know, like any, you got to find something that you really enjoy doing. It doesn't have to be like, I'm going to run a marathon. Like, just, I think it can be anything, because when you're like just so relaxed like that, you're not thinking about all of these stupid thoughts like, ooh, what if I stopped existing? So yeah, I think so. Just find a hobby that you really love, you know.
You talk about you always have a low self-esteem. Do you still have this, or how did you deal with it? And why do you think you have it? Because from my point of view, like you are so multi-talented, and you are just great. And,
yeah, I think all this stuff comes from childhood, doesn't it? I remember you talking about your mother and everything, and it's just like, it's just a similar thing, like just sort of having, I mean, I get on really well with my mum now, but when I was a kid, I don't know, she wasn't super nice to me, I think. Yeah, it just comes from that, and it's really hard to shake. And like, no matter how many things you read or how much therapy you do, saying like, you're not that kid and blah blah blah, I don't know, I haven't really been able to completely shake it off. So I don't know, it's just yeah, what you gonna do?
It's hard. Like my mom does. She always complains. She's like, "Why you still remember things happened so long ago?" I'm like, that is the most important phase of a person. Like, you fuck it up and you complain. I remember things.
Yeah. So you could have been teaching me a second language, man, instead you're like instilling me with like dark fears that would haunt me for the rest of my life. Yeah. Yeah, and also I remember, I don't know how much you want to talk about yourself, but just I remember you saying that you'd self-diagnosed with ADHD, like when I last saw you, and I'm like 100% sure that I'm on that spectrum as well. Like there's no doubt about that. But like, it's something I've learnt to deal with. I think in my day to day. Like for example, if someone tells me an appointment or something I need to know, I have to write it down right away. There's no way I'm gonna remember it later.
How are you sure? Were you diagnosed? Did you see a doctor?
No, and I think I will actually because a friend of a friend just got diagnosed and I'm gonna see their doctor. But I just like every single questionnaire or anything I read is just like, oh my God, you have it. Like there's no doubt. It's, so yeah. But also I remember a little while back someone gave me a Ritalin. Like just recreationally. Again, don't try it at home. It's not if you're not prescribed it. And it made me feel horrible, like so anxious. So, but that's a sign that maybe you don't have it.
I disagree.
Yeah.
I think with ADD there are lots of different drugs. Also like antidepressant, like some drugs just don't work for a particular person. Doesn't mean, for example, like I tried a few drugs for my depression. They didn't work at the beginning. Doesn't mean I didn't have depression.
Yeah, true. You gotta find the brand.
I self-medicated a few times with ADD drugs. Like once was maybe 2015. It was adrenaline.
Oh yeah, Adderall.
Adderall, yeah, I use it and I feel like now thinking back, I was like, oh, that's why I feel so good. Because remember, after I realized I have ADD, then I look back in my life, I realized I always had issue to follow in a class. And since I was a child, I always like telling to myself, I was like, oh, life would be so much better if I don't have to follow a class. I can just sitting alone and do my own stuff. I can study so much better. And every time I go to a German course, like middle way through, I would drop out because I realized I cannot focus at all. And then I will start sitting at home and study myself. I'm like, okay, I will just use the time with the original German course slot. I will study on my own because the result is better than I sit there. And when I took Adderall, like a few years ago, I realized that is the second time in my life I first time feel in a flow and I can really study. And the first time happened was when I was in junior high, when I'm around 12 years old. I had a really good math teacher, and he teaches mathematics in such a good way, and I could really feel the joy of it and immerse myself in it. And that was like 2 years duration. And after that, I never be able to really focus, like learn something. But I tried Ritalin maybe like 2-3 years ago. I really hated it.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't just me then. But do you have a prescription for Adderall here?
No, I don't.
Oh, right. You should get on it.
I'm not diagnosed yet.
Yeah.
And I feel with ADD, I feel there's some stigma around it. Like with depression, if you tell someone you are depressed, people normally very like accepting and. But with ADD, like especially people who have ADD, they will tell you, you why are you culturally appropriate my disease? And like you think you have, but everyone think they have ADD. And I feel like very rejected from the ADD community, let's say.
But I mean, in terms of stigma, the only person you have to tell is a psychiatrist. You don't have to tell anybody else.
That's why I want to get diagnosed. So those people who have ADD, they cannot reject me.
You're like shaking your bottle at them.
But I'm not sure if I will need to use the drugs because I read quite a few books about the ADD lately. I don't remember the complete list. What I remember is that there are like maybe 5 tools really help with ADD. One is the diagnosis itself, because like lots of things happen in you and really chaotic, and you just feel yourself is your fault, and you are not you are lazy, and lots of self-blame. Once you are diagnosed, it can be explained, and it removes lots of burden and self-blame. So that's the most important tool to treat ADD. And then there's drugs, and then there's education. Like you need to get to know the drug and to learn tools and how to schedule your day. And there are two other stuff. I think maybe it's exercise or something else. I forgot. And for me, after I read the books, I applied quite a few methods, like how I schedule my day. Also about like taking notes. I learned a method called the bullet journal method. It's like a way of taking notes and schedule your day and combine with mindfulness. It's everyone can use it, but when I read the book about this method, they say actually it helps a lot for people with ADHD. So I implemented it. It's been 1 month now. I feel like it completely changed my life.
Wow.
Like I feel it's the first time in my life I can control my actions, and I am able to manage my expectations for myself. And I have like a close observation and influence on my own mood. And I feel finally I'm live up to my expectation, like live up to my potential.
Yeah, I guarantee I would need some kind of stabilizing drug before I started looking at worksheets, because like I can't. There's no. I couldn't. I can't do worksheets. I just. My whole brain shuts down. So maybe I think I need that. That might be my first step, because yeah, I can't.
Okay, I will send you the name of the
please
book.
do.
It's super easy to implement it, and it's super useful, at least for me. If you cannot organize this stuff, how did you made the Berlin New Standup Award happen?
Yeah, so actually my biggest driving force is if I don't do it right, then everyone will be mad at me. So it's like the only way I've achieved big things like that in my life is I just have booked it so that everybody is doing it, and then I have to do it right. Otherwise, everyone will be mad at me.
Wow.
And you know what comedians are like. I mean, there'd be so much bitching if it was a huge disaster. So yeah, I can really focus well. If the result of failure would be that hundreds of people would be upset.
Oh, that's also like my default way of motivating myself.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the same with the school, all the classes I've done. I've booked people into the classes before there's been one letter of syllabus. And then I work really hard. I'm really focused, making sure it's like a really complete syllabus.
Oh, I totally can resonate with you. I booked my solo show.
Yeah.
And I don't have it yet.
No, you don't have it.
And I have the venue booked, and I'm going to put on the ads and the commercials, sell the tickets.
Yeah.
And I know I'm going to be panicked like 2 weeks in advance, but without this kind of panic, I think it will just never happen.
Yeah, that's true.
And with the Berlin Mental Health Festival, it's the same. Like before I really have a plan, I start to contact venues and other comedians, and I know if I don't work on it later, they will be mad at me.
Yeah,
wow.
I mean that's the only way to do anything. Another great thing is to have at least like 3 projects at a time, so that you're always failing at one. You know, so then that part of you that's like, I'm a failure, I'll never get anything done, is being satisfied by one of your projects just being a stinking pile of crap.
You need that needs?
A little bit, yeah, because then I can be like, oh, typical, I'm not doing this one thing, but these other 2 things are going really well, you know.
That's a typical ADD symptom, like you have way too much projects at hand.
Yeah, sure. But I mean, I did like, I really did I wanted to write this book. I wanted to write a book, and I might have started it 2 years ago, and I really thought I was going to do it, and I just cannot. I cannot for the life of me finish, or even I'm probably not even half done with this book, because I showed it to somebody, and he was like, "Oh, you know, it's some really good stuff in here, but you are not even nearly finished." And just those words rang around in my head, and
Oh, fuck.
and maybe
Who's
that's
that person?
no. I'm
Let me track him down and castrate
no,
him.
I can't. I can't.
Tell me
you
the
who it
name.
is, yeah. But of course, he was just being honest, like an honest German. Yeah. So yeah, like I sort of think, well, I really wish I didn't have ADHD, so that I could finish a book or something, because that would be a great achievement in my life.
You know what I realized? We were talking about panic attack, depression, and ADD. I find like your button is really ADD. When we talk about depression and anxiety, it's very brief.
Yeah.
And then, okay, that's it. And then with ADD, like I feel I open a whole door.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's only something. Honestly, it's only since like getting into TikTok a little bit, which I'm sure you aren't into.
I'm not.
But yeah, like I don't know. I ended up on ADHD TikTok, and it's just like constantly having the symptoms repeated back to me. But at the same time, there is of course this part of me, and no offense, that's a bit like, oh, this didn't really exist like 20 years ago. It's kind of like just a bullshit thing for people who you know are like won't focus. And are annoying or something. So like maybe it's not really a real thing. But then you might as well say that there's no such thing as depression, or there's no such thing as this and that, which of course there is. Of course.
So
there is,
TikTok is not bad.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think it's crack cocaine. Like, I don't think it's a healthy place to be. But having said that, it's ended up being a very good outlet for some specific type of videos that I've been doing. And because I'm not really doing stand-up at the moment, it's actually a really good place to kind of fulfill like stand-up and sketch ideas, because it's like you don't need to, they're really short to do, you can edit them on your phone, and no one's expecting them to be good quality. It's kind of like amateur porn. It's just like people enjoy it just for what it is. So actually in terms of providing content, it's a really good format, but in terms of consuming content, it's a terrible place to be.
Yeah, it's just make your brain dead.
Absolutely, yeah. And just the noise of it as well, because it's like all these catchy tunes. And like Bo Burnham actually is crazy on there. Like people use his music all the time, so you end up with it like a carousel running through your head, and it's actually really drives you crazy.
I think if you don't have ADD, you have it afterwards.
Yeah, you're totally right. It's actually built for the ADD generation. I mean, all the videos are like 1 minute or less, and you just swipe up. It's like Tinder but for comedy.
Wow.
Oof. It's not a healthy place to be.
I want to ask about your daily schedule. How do you how do you get out of bed? How did you make your life in place? Like how did you make yourself to do the things you need to do?
Well, that's the funny thing is I have absolutely no schedule at all whatsoever, and I'm not bad at getting out of bed though, because I love coffee. Like that's my main reason. I can't wait. I'm giddy to get out of bed so I can have a coffee. Cool. But yeah, I genuinely never have a plan in the day, and I have to look at my Google Calendar to even know what I'd planned from the week before, like what past Caroline had decided I was going to be doing. I have, you know, almost every other day I go climbing. Or do some kind of, or lift weights or something. And then my work schedule is the opposite to most people. So because I work normally evenings and weekends. And by work, I also mean shows, which I might not actually get paid for, but it's kind of like a job. But yeah, I have no schedule. I never know what I'm doing. I don't plan anything. I just like, I have like this list app, like Microsoft To Do, which used to be Wunderlist. And I just have like a list called Do This Immediately kind of thing. And so if I'm in the right frame of mind, I'll sit down with my laptop and I'll try and check a few things off that list.
From ADD book, I learned that having a schedule Having a routine is very important for people with ADD.
Yeah.
And I learned this technique called pattern planning. Basically, it means like if you have some regular things to do, you just plan it always at the same time, either the same time of the day or same day of the week. And since I started to adopt this technique, it's been a month. Every day I am able to write my solo show for 1.5 hours and learn German for 1 hour and do 1 hour of sports. It's great.
I get very resentful if I feel obligated to do anything. So like that really scares me. The idea of like, okay, my alarm going off, like, oh, it's 1 o'clock, you have to do German for 1 hour. I'd be like, no, I'm not. So I don't know.
I learned another technique because I also feel very resentful in the past, and the book I was reading, it told me if you make a habit tracker, then of course you also need to do it, but then there's a reward at the end, which is like you can cross a dot, say I did this, and then it can relieve some dopamine, and after a few days it become like a habit, and you just really looking forward to cross that thing, and then it become easy to do it.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I have that with my checklist, but it's funny that you asked me that question because I never really think about it. But gosh, I have no schedule whatsoever. I mean, like, yeah, today I had climbing at 11, so that was pretty much, and then I went to lunch with my friends.
I think that's quite good already. Like if you have climbing at 11, that means you need to like brush your teeth, eat breakfast, and get dressed and go out. I think that's already quite good.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I suppose so.
And
but
also,
I'm never like, well, I go climbing on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Like, it's not like that. I don't really know until a day before, like a couple of days before, what I'm going to be doing.
Yeah, I think actually you already have a schedule because like you, as I said, you need to get a lot of things done before you get out of the door.
Yeah.
Then at 11 you do some physical activity which you love. It fuel in lots of motivation and good hormone and dopamine in you, and then it can help you to get through the rest of the day.
Yeah, I think it's like an unscheduled schedule is what it is. It's like
it's a habit.
Exactly. It's sort of like, it feels like like an orbit of lots of planets, you know, that I can't really track what they are, but they are still always, you know, orbiting.
That's the best. Like having like this kind of like habit, you don't need to follow a schedule. It's just part in you, and at this hour you
maybe
need
it's
to
not
do
as bad as I think.
It's not as bad as you think.
But like, if you were to ask me, oh, what are you doing on Wednesday? I don't know at all. I would have to look at my phone, and I'd be like, oh shit, like, oh, that's this Wednesday. Like,
me too. I always have my bullet journal with me, and whatever I talk with people, I need to write it down. Otherwise, it's gone.
It's gone. Yeah.
Lots of time it's gone in 3 seconds.
I tell you something that I am so bad at, I've realized today, is like, one thing is that I shop a lot online. Like, I don't really like going to, other than grocery stores, as we know.
You love Lidl.
Yeah, exactly. I'm wearing the hat. But like other things, like just things for the house or whatever, I often get it online. I know it's bad for the environment, but I just find it so convenient, and I love the feeling of getting the best thing, like reviews, and which you're not going to get in like MediaMarkt.
Yeah.
But I have this like thing where if it's the wrong thing, which it is now and again, I will not return it. I for some reason, that is just too many, like it freaks me out returning things. You have to get a letter and then like a new box and stuff like that. So I end up with all this garbage that I've paid for.
that freaks me out too.
Yeah.
I used to like it gives me so much stress. It's insane. Like sometimes one thing, like every day I'm thinking I'm going to return this pair of shoes. I'm going to return this pair of shoes. Then I was like, oh, too much stress. Let me wait.
And then you have the shame of like, oh, they're gonna be like, why is she returning them after 3 weeks?
Yeah. And then when I finally did the action, I realized it's already 200 days.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
But what I learned with myself is that I have a calendar, like a bullet journal is also like a calendar book, like a schedule book. So, for example, I cannot have the motivation to do it today. Then I will write it down. Okay, next Wednesday, 4 p.m. Oh, next Wednesday I will do it. And then when it's next Wednesday, somehow it just feel easy to do it because I think the most difficult part is always have a internal conflict, like a conversation always. Am I going to do it? Oh, what's the reason I'm going to do it? What's the reason I'm not going to do it? And then like it consumes so much mental capacity.
Yeah.
But if I just put at a random day in the future, then the decision is already made.
That's interesting.
And when that day comes, it doesn't feel like I don't have this conversation anymore. Instead, I feel if I get it done, I can cross it off a list. Then I am looking forward to that dopamine hit when I cross it off the list.
See, for me, that wouldn't work quite like that because I feel like I have good energy days and bad energy days. And if it's a bad energy day, I don't care what's planned on that day. I'm not doing any of it. So so it's actually better for me to go onto a list that has no date. And then when I'm having a good energy day, I can do so much when I have that energy. So, and I'll send back the pan and I'll do all of these things. I'll fix that crack in the wall, you know.
Like, you sound like my mom.
Yeah, maybe.
She's always very proud. She says, oh, well, people say I'm lazy, but when I'm not lazy, I will clean the house unstoppably for 18 hours.
Yeah.
And she really enjoys it. I think probably she also has some ADD.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like all of these things coming and going, isn't it? It's funny, just having this conversation, I've had to put return the pan on my my so forth list on my return pan because I won't remember to do that later. There we go. I'm going to return that pan. It's actually so embarrassing because it was just from this camping set, and it's very. They have an inner pan and an outer pan for this camping set, and they keep on sending me the inner, and so it's now I have 3 inners. I have 3 of them stacked up, all from different companies.
But are they going to return?
Yeah, I emailed them and they were all like, "Yeah, it's fine, just return it." And I haven't. I just keep on buying another one because it's only €8. So I'm just like, I'm in a world of just camping pans, and I probably won't even go camping again this year. I've got 3 aluminium.
How about your house? Is it organized or is a pile of mess?
It's pretty messy. Yeah, it's pretty messy, and because my girlfriend is similar, I would say. So we'll have a big clean now and again, and it's not terribly awful. It's not like a crack den, but it's not great.
Do you when you have a termin with people, are you always on time?
Actually, I am quite punctual, but that's only because I'm not really doing anything else probably that day. So I'll actually be quite bored waiting for it to come along. But definitely I've had trouble with punctuality when I've also like had a full-time job and stuff like that. But I don't really have an excuse to be late anymore. You know, I've got nothing else on. So, but yeah, funnily enough, I don't know how or why, but I am punctual. Of course, I have my moments like anybody. Like I just you leave and then suddenly you're like, where are my keys? You know. But on the whole, and there's some people where you're always late when you meet them. You know, for some reason. But yeah, on the whole, if it's relatively important, I'll be on time.
I will always magically find out I'm late.
Yeah. I know a lot of people like that.
There's always some reason. And then I read this ADD book. They said it's a major symptom. I was like, oh. So relieved.
That might be the reason I don't have it then, because I'm managed to be quite punctual. But also, but a reason for that might also be is that like I don't really, you know, do shit to myself, so I can be like in bed and then out the house in 10 minutes.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's really like so liberating.
Yeah, it could be, but yeah.
Before I moved to Berlin, I was very brainwashed by the mainstream culture, and I was a girl. I would put makeup on and change dress and put super uncomfortable shoes on. And after I moved to Berlin, I realized it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah.
I stopped making my hair, stopped care about my looks, stopped wearing uncomfortable shoes, and life became much easier this way.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen to that.
Yeah, I remember you have a joke. You said like you you used to be really good at sucking dicks, and now you don't need these skills anymore. It's just like one of the skills in your repertory, like you are really good at it, but it's wasted because you don't use it anymore.
Yeah, something like that.
So I was really shocked at that time because I was like, oh, you found out you are lesbian at some point, like you.
Yeah.
So is it something related to your mental health, and how did you just found out?
Yeah, actually, I would say that like of all the things that affect my mental health, my sexuality is one of the least. Actually, it's just something that that it just, I don't know, just it didn't really make any difference to my life in a way. And I would say that I'm probably bisexual, but I've definitely, since I kind of like found out this lesbian side of myself, I've just been with women. I guess because I've just been like with dudes my whole life. And why would you be with a dude if you didn't have to, you know? If you honestly had the choice. So yeah. But it's not something that I think about because like I'm not oppressed, especially in Berlin. I mean,
You found out in Berlin?
Oh yeah. I was in my 30s. I was in my like mid 30s. So.
Wow, cool. Then I still have a chance.
But like it was a surprise to nobody as well because I've always like been pretty scruffy and not like wearing dresses or anything. I've always been a tomboy. So like when I was younger, everyone was like, you're gay, and I was probably like, no, I'm not, like just to prove them wrong.
Cool, interesting. I think I'm also bisexual, and now after talking with you, I feel I'm not yet middle 30s. Maybe I still can be lesbian at one point.
Sure, and also I think like if Berlin has taught us anything, like you know, it just like sexuality just doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think it's like so important as people think. Like we're not in the dark ages where it's like you have to have 9 children or the crops will fail. It's just whatever, you know. I think you can meet cool people and it doesn't really matter what their genitals exactly are. I think people put too much into their identity, like I'm straight or gay or bi or whatever. It's just like, I don't know, just meet someone, it's nice to have a really strong connection with somebody, you know, and that's that.
Cool, amazing. So let's go back to a bit of the depression part. Did you have depression first or anxiety?
Yeah, I mean, as I say, I think I'd always been like a bit low level depressed anyway, with the self-esteem and everything. But as I say, it wasn't until the anxiety struck that I thought, oh, I have like, you know, it's kind of severe, you know, more severe than I'm just like an annoying white person who doesn't realize their own privilege or whatever. So yeah.
And do you think you still have issues with anxiety or depression?
Yeah, I definitely am like low level anxious, and that like I move my hands and I still bite my nails and pick my skin.
Maybe
a lot,
that's
like
that's
that.
the symptom of ADD.
Well, that too. There's definitely like it's all a big Venn diagram. I don't know what the name is for that type of graph where it like looks like a web and it's a circle. But yeah, I think we all, you know, if you're neurodivergent, as they say, it can be a mixture of lots of different things, you know. But yeah, I think I will go to a psychiatrist here and see what they say. But as you say, it's like they'll be like, so what? You know, you've got ADHD, you're 41, like who gives a shit? Your life is okay. So.
But I think then there's still lots of, for example, like for me, the self-diagnose is really life-changing. Like it never come to my mind I have it, or I never knew anyone had diagnosed with it. But due to some random chance, when I talk with Ori, I think that's one of things put this in my mind.
Yeah.
He has ADD, and a few other things happened at the same time. Suddenly one day I was sitting, it just came to my mind. I was like, I need to read a book about the ADHD. And then I started to read books, and the first day I was reading to it, like I just couldn't stop. And then I started crying, and I was like, this is crazy. I was like, everything makes sense. And since then, like my daily life really changed drastically. Like I never feel so in control of myself. Like for example, like in the past I have very often I cancel comedy shows. It's just that day I wake up, I feel like not in great mood, or sometimes I feel breakdown. Then I just couldn't control myself. I will end up watching lots of YouTube videos, smoking weed, lying on my sofa, and feeling really horrible. And when it's evening time, I just couldn't make myself to put on the clothes and go to the comedy club. But now with I know I have this condition, and I adopt some of the techniques. I can manage my day, and now I have like 10 steps, like a routine. I wake up, and I first do the easiest thing, which is take my medication, and then immediately I do meditate for 10 minutes, and then I eat breakfast. Then the routine builds on itself, and each step is a little bit harder. And in between, I put some easy stuff to rewarding stuff to make me like feeling happy and feeling engaged. And after I done the step 10, normally it's at least already 12:30, and I already done really important things like walk my dogs and did
I
exercise.
didn't know you have dogs.
Yeah, I have 2 dogs. You don't know?
I must have met them.
Yeah. You are not a dog person. That's
but
why.
I love dogs.
Really?
Just because I like cats doesn't mean I also don't like dogs.
Oh, I thought that you are a crazy cat lady.
Yeah, but I also like dogs. I like cats more, but I like dogs a lot.
Okay.
I mean, come on, they're dogs.
Okay, you can touch them afterwards.
Sweet.
So now, like with this routine 10 steps, I just feel even sometimes I wake up not feeling good. Like as soon as I kick in this routine, like it gives me energy slowly, and it builds momentum. And even I wake up feeling, oh, today will be shit. Let's not say it in this way. In the past, I wake up many times, like I wake up, then I already know, oh, today is going to be shit. But now with this routine, I think my mindset also changed a lot, because I know, okay, now I feel shit. I wake up, I feel shit. But it doesn't mean today will be shit. And I have faith that if I kick in this routine for 10 steps, at the end of the steps, I will feel better. So in the past, when I sleep, I very often feel, oh, tomorrow will be bad. And I feel so scared to sleep because I know tomorrow will be really bad. But now it's like when I go to sleep, I feel, okay, I feel bad now. But as long as I go sleep, tomorrow I wake up, it will be a new day. I will do my routine. I will feel better. So the anticipation and the expectation of the day also changed. I think that itself also helps a lot, because now I believe it's not random anymore. Like it's not randomly I wake up, feel shit, then I have a shit day. It's now it's like even I feel shit, I have control. I do my stuff. I can feel good. So I feel
really
that
powerful,
I feel like I have control, and I feel like I'm not like randomly selected by this breakdown, this mood anymore.
Yeah, that's really, really interesting, because I sort of do feel a little bit like that. Having said that, if I go out climbing, I'll definitely feel better. But like sometimes I just wake up and I'm in a rotten mood. I can't speak to my girlfriend. I can't look at her, you know, and that's just that. I'm just going to like, today's going to be a TikTok day, you know. Yeah, you'll have to just give me the name of that book, because I know, like, a part of me is really scared with something like that, because I know that I have a real problem with obligation and routine, and there will always be a part of me that'll be like, wouldn't it be fun not to do this thing? It probably doesn't even work anyway. But yeah, who knows? Maybe, you know, like I know from myself that you change. You know, your feelings change as you get older.
I think it's great. Like for me, the self-diagnosis is really great, because it's just my problem is everywhere, and now finally I have a name for it. Then I can search for the solution for it, and it just fits in together, and I feel really empowered. Let's say. But I need to go to see a psychiatrist next month to get diagnosed. So yeah, other ADD people can shut up.
Yeah. I only know one person that is has medication here. I guess you said Ori does too. But yeah, I mean.
Oh, they are the popular cats because because people who have ADD medications like target let's say people with drug issues would like to be friends with them
Sure,
normally.
but you would imagine in this country they're not. It's not like America where you can just go to 7 different doctors. I mean, you're only going to get as much as you need, and they're going to be very suspicious if suddenly you need a triple order because you're giving all your friends speed.
So, if you have a rotten day now, what do you do?
Yeah, I usually just need to go out the house if possible and do something else. But sometimes I'll just really lean into it and just watch some old series in bed.
Then how did you have the motivation to get out of the house? Because sometimes this kind of internal battle, for me, it can like, I wake up, I say I'm going to get out of the house, and till third day I'm still not out of the house.
Yeah, I don't know, because it's quite claustrophobic, my apartment, and it can be quite depressing in its own way. So sometimes it's kind of easy for me to just go somewhere else and do something else. I mean, as I say, if I'm lucky, it's like a climbing day, or even like a gym day. But yeah, I think it's like you said. It's like I've done it enough times to know that it definitely works. So yeah. But obviously, if one is too depressed and too tired in your body, then you can just crawl back into bed. And I don't think that's so bad sometimes. It's not like we should always be on the go anyway. Sometimes maybe you should be in bed all day, and that's okay too.
Oh, that is something I also learned. I over the years I realized one trigger of my breakdown is always that I have a very high expectation for myself, and when I can perform, like perform duties and responsibilities in life, I tend to push myself really, really hard. And at the beginning, I would feel really, really on top of things, and then I feel, oh, I can do so much. And after so many years, I realized the pattern that it always begin with this way, and then it ends up with I have breakdown, and I realize it's because I never plan a break in between. Like when I can do stuff, I push myself to the limit until it breaks.
Yeah.
I think one reason is because I'm bad at planning. Second is probably ADD. Like once you are in a flow, it's just very hard to slow down. And also because like from my background in China, we don't have work-life balance. Like everyone push them until they break. Like that's how it works. So this is something I learned in the past, let's say half a year. I realized, oh, I have to put the brakes in me, and now with my bullet journal method, because I have more overview of my week. So let's say in the past, this week I will like sign up as many comedy shows as possible, and during that week sometimes I feel overwhelmed. But now, before I sign up, I will look at my calendar, like bullet journal calendar, and to do on each day. I will like, Friday I already have so much things to do, and I have some other obligations, like Thursday, whatever. Then I already know how realistic it is, how many comedy shows I can put in. So instead of signing up 15 shows and feeling overwhelmed, I would just say, okay, there are a few days it's not really possible. Let's just leave those shows open, and only apply for shows on these 3 particular days. And now with my, I also now purposely do a artist date each week. Do you know the concept?
I can assume what it is, but I don't really know.
Basically, it's just take your inner artist to a date and do something to nourish your inner child alone each week. and it's said it's very good for mental health, also very good for creativity. So I purposely do that once a week, and I think that helps a lot.
What kind of thing do you do?
Like for example, I would go to a museum alone,
I see.
or I can go to Tempelhof to just write jokes or look at the people, or I may go to like check out some like a pop-up kitchen, or just very small things, or go to watch a movie, or just stay home, or plan a time that I really will enjoy a very good comedy special. Not because I'm bored after dinner I turn on my TV, but I make it like it's something I'm rewarding myself. I really want to enjoy the time. I think that helped a lot. And another really big change for my mindset is also in the past, for example, on let's say on Sunday, I always have like lots of things planned on Sunday, and if I don't get that done and end up lying in bed, then I would feel really depressed and lots of self-blame. But now what I learned is that I realized like white people, they always talk about having a lazy chill Sunday.
Yeah.
And one day it hits to my mind. I was like, why I have to when I lie in bed, why I have to feel depressed? Why I cannot just enjoy it and think it's something I'm treating myself. I want to have a lazy day. I'm treating myself a lazy day. If I want to rest, I don't have to blame myself, and I just enjoy the time. And when this mindset has changed, I think it also make me way less depressed, because I realized in the past when I want to relax, I feel blame myself, then I end up depressed.
So you're all like #lazy Sunday now.
Yeah. So now I just think, when I want to relax, I let myself relax, and I celebrate the fact that I allowed myself to relax. I think that's a big change too.
Yeah, that's a great thing to recognize, definitely. I mean, or whatever day of the week, because it's funny because like my friends who work, obviously they're off on the weekend, but I almost always teach stand-up comedy at the weekends. So it's like a work day for me.
Yeah.
But I mean, working 2 days on and 5 days off is not really that bad.
Yeah.
Can't complain.
You can't complain.
Can't complain that hard, yeah. But honestly, the idea of having scheduled things to do every day is a bit frightening for me. I think I would have to find maybe something a little bit looser to work with my particular neurodivergency, should we say.
I don't have actually a timed schedule. I just have a routine. It's 10
Just a
steps.
routine.
And I take my time. But you sounds very intimidating, but in the 10 steps, the step 1 is open my door, let my dogs go out to pee downstairs. That's the step 1.
So they don't piss on the bed or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, and the step 2 is to take my medication.
Yeah.
And the step 6 or 7 is to go for a walk with my dogs.
That is something I don't do, is take my medication.
Yeah.
I have a separate gut problem, and I'm supposed to take this tablet every day. And when my gut isn't hurting, I don't take it. But I'm supposed to take it every day of my life, and I don't take it.
Now I had the issue also in the past, but now, like since I built this 10 steps program, I found myself it's automatic. Like I after, let's say, 1 week, I don't need to think about it. I wake up, I go to my office. Before I realize I'm already taking the pills, because it happens every day. Like it's as soon as I get out of bed, it triggers me to take the pills. So I think I read a book about habit formatting.
Yeah.
I think they say like the key is not to have willpower, to not use your willpower at all. It's just about to design the flow so easy to make you like just feel like just like breathe, and you follow it, and it happens.
I don't know what my problem is sometimes.
Okay, so at the end of the podcast, do you have something to share or say to our audience who might also have similar problem?
Yeah, I mean, of course, it's just a matter of like don't suffer in silence. If you have any kind of problems, especially something like anxiety, where you could sometimes feel like if I tell other people it's going to get worse, you know. But you absolutely should get help with anything like that, and don't take it into your own hands, and don't use alcohol as a drug.
So, this came to my mind. How did you realize you have anxiety issue at the beginning? How did you know the thoughts you have was not normal?
I just felt different. I knew there was something going on, and my heart rate was my heart was racing, and that's all. And of course I've heard about panic attacks, so I thought this must be a panic attack. Like,
Okay.
I didn't think it was necessarily anything physical, but of course I started to worry that it was like, oh, is this a stroke or like some shit, like you know, you think every single bad thing is going to happen to you at once. But yeah, it's just I think it's quite a known thing, a panic attack.
And with the anxiety, was something you already recognized before your panic attack?
It's not something I really thought about a great deal, but yeah, I've always been sort of a bit highly strung and anxious.
And how did you know it's anxiety? This might sound stupid, but in my culture, we don't have those terms at all.
Yeah, you know, it's a really good question because yeah, I don't know. I mean, like before in my life, I wouldn't have said that I was specifically anxious, other than just being a bit highly strung, like British, kind of, you know, like, oh God, I'm sorry. So yeah, but like when I started to feel so, I can only describe it as feeling so weird, just feeling so weird that that I thought my head might like turn inside out, kind of thing, and maybe having experiences with drugs as well, kind of. In a weird way, just helped me to identify it. Certainly didn't help the situation. Probably triggered the whole situation, to be honest.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, if you do too many like amphetamines, things that mess with your head and mess with your heart, then yeah, you're gonna. You could potentially do yourself harmful damage.
What's amphetamine?
You know, things that make your heart rate go up.
It's like a speed?
Like speed or ecstasy or anything like that. You know, just all the usual party drugs, really. Cocaine, of course. And
don't do it, audience. Don't
that's
learn.
it. That's it. I mean, I could never be like just say no, but like I would definitely have an addictive personality, and I went past the point where it was fun for me, and I think I've definitely done myself permanent damage, woo, because my memory is completely like almost like it's just rubbish, so rubbish.
Is that why you are not doing stand-up?
It's one of the reasons. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I can't remember my set or anything. But also like I'm just more interested. Like improv makes much more sense to me as well, because like it does help to have a good memory with improv, but you don't need to have a really good memory.
So my last question is, what's your favorite comedy special or your favorite comedian?
Yeah, I mean, this is great on the topic of mental health because Maria Bamford is my favorite comedian, and she talks a lot about mental health. She's bipolar. She has bipolar disorder, and she does a lot of specials for that reason, where there's no audience at all, because like she also, you know, suffers from panic attacks and whatnot. But I saw Weakness Is My Brand in London, and I laughed so much that I couldn't stop crying. So I would definitely check that out on Netflix. I haven't seen the recorded version, but I'm sure it's like just as awesome. Weakness Is My Brand by Maria Bamford came out within the last year, I think.
Yeah, if you like comedy and you have mental health issues, check it out.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, it was really great. I've never done anything like this before. I've not really spoken this openly about my mental health issues at all, so it was really interesting.
Cool. We need to break the silence.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, I can't wait you've got to recommend me that book.
Cool. So, dear audience, that's it for today. I hope you stay safe and stay alive. Bye-bye.
Bye.